Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prashta Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vikas Swaminiti Namine Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prashta Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, thank you very much for coming. We are going to discuss Vaishnava epistemology, Vaishnava pramanas. This is our introduction to our Bhakti Sastra course, and this is, introduction or background for the introduction of Ishopanishad, which we are going to study next. So, here we are presenting that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we say that by chanting His holy names, one can be free from ignorance, from all previous sins, free from repeated birth and death. And also, one can develop love for God. So this is, and the process is the chanting of the holy name that will invoke love of God. So this is our philosophy in summary, the basic, that we are eternal part and parcel of God, eternal spirit soul, servants of God. And when we engage in pure devotional service, we are free from clutches of Maya. Now, you may notice that when we preach this throughout the world, not everybody accepts it. Not everybody accepts it. Oh yes, whatever you say is true. They are arguing, they are asking evidence. Where is the proof? Where is the proof of what we say? That Krishna is supreme and that, whatever we say works. So, this discussion of pramana, or evidence for the truth. What is the proof? How do you know that this is truth? This is called pramana. And this is in English called epistemology. Epistemology is coming from the Latin word, maybe Greek word, episteme, means knowledge, and logos means logic. It is said in definition like this: branch of philosophy concerned with the theory of knowledge. The theory of knowledge, especially with regard to its methods, validity, scope, and the distinction between justified belief and opinion. So epistemology means that how do you learn anything? How do you know things? How do you acquire knowledge? No? How do we acquire knowledge? Before we show, we simply say, Krishna is supreme. Veda says is axiomatic truth. There is no need to prove, but people don't accept. So we have to explain, convince. So how do you learn anything? You see, the Vedic rishis, from time immemorial, they discuss this very important aspect. How do you acquire knowledge? Any knowledge. How do you acquire knowledge? And what is validity of your method? How do you learn anything? How do you know that you know? And what you say and what you conclude, how do you know that this is reality? It is a big philosophical subject, but you can see in Vedas you have a concept of darshanas. Shad darshanas are there. 6 darshanas: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Karma, and Brahma Sutras. And you can see each of them discuss that we are presenting the philosophy. This is our conclusion. This is our siddhanta. Based on this and this and this pramanas. First you discuss, what is your pramana? How do you know? Why? On which basis you say this is true? So they discuss. For thousands of years, people in India discuss this very important aspect. How do you know what you know? On which basis you learn things? How do you acquire knowledge? So how do we learn things? How do we learn things? Any idea? Any examples? Anybody can say? We learn from elders, from authorities. Then? From books. We read the books. We get knowledge from others. Again, some kind of authority. Then?
From previous experience.
Previous experience, no? You burn your hand on fire, you learn, if you are intelligent. Then? We have senses. We see, we hear, we taste, we smell, we learn. No? What else? Any other method?
Also condition which we are seeing.
Right, by evaluating something, by using logic, common sense, based on previous experiences, like that. Any other? And now all of this, you learn from book, but how do you know book is right? You learn from elders, but whether do they know properly? No? And particularly, some mundane things we can verify easily. Where is the Goshala? Go straight, right, in 200 feet you'll see Goshala. In 5 minutes I can verify. If I don't find Goshala, the fellow misguided me. But what about knowledge of God? No? And Guruji said, you have to practice all life. Then at the end of life you will know. You are investing all your life at risk. Correct? So how do you know? How many religions are there? Christian says, Jesus is the only way, the only path, the only truth. Correct? Krishna says, Mam ekam sharanam vraja, surrender only to me. Correct? And Quran says, Allah is the only true God. Bible says, I'm envious God, worship only me, don't worship other gods. Judaism, we are the right. Buddhists say, no, we are the right. Now, how do you know? How many you can practice? How many you can check? You see, this is very important. How do you know that this is true path we follow? No? How do we acquire knowledge? So, you will see this in Vedic darshanas, Nyaya darshana, Gautama Muni, or all of them, all in Karma Mimamsa. Then you have Kapila discussing Sankhya, you have in Vaisheshika, Jaimini, all of them discuss this very important. And different schools, they accept different pramanas and they reject some pramanas. They don't accept. And that we'll discuss soon. So, here Srila Prabhupada says that we accept 3, pratyaksha pramana, sensory perception, anuman, logical inference, and shabda, the words of reliable authority. This is what Srila Prabhupada says in his books. According to Vedic principles, there are 3 different types of evidence. Everything must be proved by evidence. So these are primarily 3 evidences. Pratyaksha, direct perception, pratyaksha, anuman and shruti. Shruti means Vedas, shabda, transcendental sound vibration. Vedanta Sutta said, Shruteis tu shabda mula tvat. That Vedas reveal knowledge of God, transcendental sound vibration. Now we can see that the different pramanas are accepted by our Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. They accept basically 10 pramanas. But one of them stands above all others and is backbone, support of others. Without the one, which is Shabda Pramana, all others are doubtful. All others could be affected by the 4 defects of the conditioned soul. So here you see, the purpose of pramana is prama. Prama means correct cognition, proper understanding, true understanding. So pramana is that by which the truth is ascertained. No? So here pratyaksha pramana, sensory perception. The second one we listed, anuman, logical inference. Okay. The third one is arsha. Arsha is authority of the sages. Now there are many munis. Mahabharata famous shloka says, what is it? Tarko pratishta, shrutayor vibhinam, nasa vrishi yasya matam nabinam. Unless you have your own philosophy, you are not Rishi. Mahabharata says, Yudhishthir Maharaj speaking, Tarka Pratishta, logic is inconclusive. You have logic and some bigger logician comes and defeats you and concludes something else. Tarka Pratishta, you can't establish by logic exactly the truth. Of course, Pratyaksha was not even discussed in the shloka, that's immediately rejected, sense perception as an ultimate knowledge of the truth. But there are schools who accept that, like Charvaka, we'll see soon. Or modern science. And even logic, Tarka Pratishta, you can't establish the truth. You may say, everything in this room is created by somebody. The mic stand has a purpose, the mic has a purpose, computer has a purpose. The table and chairs, they have the purpose. Everything is created by somebody for some purpose. So we may conclude that this world is also created by somebody for some purpose. Our body, we ourselves are created by somebody for some purpose. No? But by logic, how do you conclude who is creator? By looking at this mic stand, can you figure out how looks the original designer of it? Is it male or female? Is it tall or short? You can't. Tarko Pratishta. Logic is inconclusive. It gives you some guidance, but doesn't give the full picture of like any painting. You see any painting, we have beautiful paintings around. But by looking at painting, you know painter is there. That's logical. Painting is there, so painter is there. Creation is there, so creator is there. But who is the painter? By staring at painting, you may not be able to figure out who is the painter. You may not be able to know his character, his qualities, his motivation, his intention. It's not possible, everything by logic. So, Tarka Pratishta, Shutayo Vibhinnam. Different Shrutis, they give different conclusions. And then Rishis, they make their own understanding out of it, according to their realization. No? So Arsha, authority of the sages. The sages, they speak philosophy. We may quote them. Srila Prabhupada quotes. Famous one is, he quotes Patanjali. He quotes Patanjali that transcendental senses exist. He said that samadhi is the highest bliss experienced through transcendental senses. Prabhupada quotes Patanjali. In Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Muni accepts that on highest level of transcendental realization, one experiences bliss through transcendental senses. So Prabhupada is proving there is spiritual body, there is spiritual reality. But Prabhupada is not quoting Patanjali who is supreme. He won't quote it. We quote Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. We quote Shankaracharya's Gita Mahatmya, but we won't quote Shankaracharya who is supreme. No? Prabhupada said, even the modern science accepts that, every 7 years, what is Prabhupada says something, or red corpuscles or something, No? Even they accept. Even modern science accept that the brain of the man is bigger than the brain of the woman. For example, no? But he's not going to quote their conclusion about goal of life. So how is that? Something you can quote, something you cannot quote. You can quote everything which is supporting the Vedic conclusion. If it's not in support of Vedic conclusion, then you don't quote it, then it's wrong. No. So Arsha is authority of sages. There's so many sages, in Vedic lore, and they give good guidance. But this Arsha, authority of sages, may be affected by 4 mistakes. Maybe. So this is accepted only when it's supporting the Vedic conclusion. Another way of learning something is upamana. Upamana is analogy. Analogy means that you are identifying something of which you didn't have previous experience by linking similarities to something which you had previous experience. Just like there is have you seen blue cows in Govardhan? Some of you seen, some of you not seen. Blue cows, Well, it's not exactly blue cow, nilgaya they call it, So what is it? It's actually a deer, but it's so big, it's like a big cow. So they call it nilgaya. So you see, to explain to you, I have to tell you, it's one type of deer, it's They call it nilgai, so I compare it to the cow, I compare it to the deer. Next time when you see, you'll recognize. Next time when you actually come there, you say, this is nilgai. No? So by describing you something which you have prior knowledge of, I give you similarities so you can recognize unknown object when you come and face it. So analogies are usually, Prabhupada uses a lot of analogies. It makes a point clear. Makes point clear, So, upamana. Now, there is also a problem with upamanas that could be defect in that. We compare many times the Lord's lotus eyes, lotus feet, lotus hand, lotus navel. But from one point of view, it's offense to compare Lord to the mundane lotus. But we have nothing better to compare in material world, But lotus is nothing for Lord's eyes. Once you see Lord's eyes, you don't want to see any lotus. You think lotuses are ugly, This is reality, actually. But we have nothing better to compare. We have no better experience in material. We think lotus is something beautiful because we've never seen spiritual reality. So we have no choice but to compare. Okay, so upamanas, analogies. Then, arthapati. By conjecture from an otherwise unexplainable situation, that you conclude something based on understanding that there is no other way, it must be like that. Now the example is given in Vedanta Shimantaka by Damodar Goswami, who is Guru of Baladevi Bhushan. He gives example, Devadatta. Devadatta is fat, but he never eats daytime. Nobody ever sees him eating. I must be eating nighttime, otherwise you can't explain how he's so fat. So this is example, it's a clear, otherwise unexplainable situation. He is healthy. Okay, so this is another way of understanding things, gaining knowledge. Okay. Then, abhava, by non-existence of the object. That simply you see bullock carts, but you don't see the bulls. But you immediately understand, bullock cart is there, bulls must be there. Bulls are somewhere around, Because you previously had experience that bullock carts are pulled by the bulls, Correct. So abhava. The abhava is also called anupalabdhi. So that object is not there, but you understand from the situation, it must be there. Just like you see there are volumes of Bhagavatam books, and fifth canto is missing. You see fourth canto is there, sixth canto is there. So you understand fifth canto is somewhere, exists, somebody took it, But you don't say the book. Correct? But still you understand, object must exist. Then there is sambhava. Sambhava means inclusion. Just like in 1,000 rupee, we don't have 1,000 rupee note, 2,000 rupee note. 500 rupee note is included, 100 rupee note is included. It's a mathematics, basically. It's a logic. Aitihya, by tradition. By tradition, so many proverbs are there. So many proverbs we hear on the lectures, by one stone, two mangoes. Or we say, you may say this is a kind of analogy, but Prabhupada said that it is believed by tradition that Red Fort in Delhi is the original palace of Pandavas. No. Now, what is it by tradition? We don't know exactly who told. We can't pinpoint the author unknown. But everybody knows, everybody heard about it. Yaksha sleeps under the tamarind tree. It's known. It's under tamarind tree, it's not recommended sleeping. Bhuta may come, Yaksha may come. It's known by tradition. So many things we learn just by tradition. So we can't pinpoint the author, but if it's following Vedic conclusion, it is accepted, can be quoted also. Okay? Then we have a cheshta. Cheshta means a gesture, simply by gesturing. Did you bring the milk? Just by gesture I'm answering. No. Pointing. You see? Gesture, cheshta. Something, You can learn by facial expression. You tell something, you can see person, oh, you don't like it. He didn't say anything, but his face said everything. So, cheshta, we learn like this. And ultimately, shabda, by the words of reliable authority. Okay, so this is the 10 pramanas accepted by Gaudiya Vaishnava. But there is condition applied. Condition applied, we'll see soon. So, that, say, let me see like this. Cow is mooing. Moo. What is it? What kind of pramana is that? We are hearing sound of a cow mooing. Is it Shabda pramana? Anuman, Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha, Anuman, Shabda. Please, choose one. Pratyaksha. Why Pratyaksha? Why not Shabda? I'm hearing sound. Words of reliable authority. Apta Vakya has to come from Apta Purusha. Intelligible sound. Something meaningful has to be spoken. Then is accepted as Shabda. Meaningful, articulated sound, intelligible sound that you can recognize and understand. Otherwise, it's sound just sound of a cow. We heard the birds chirping. It's Pratyaksha Pramana. It's not Shabda. There is no knowledge given to us except that sign of a cow or, like that. It's not, no any meaningful, intelligible message is conveyed to us. So this is the difference. We will see when we discuss Pratyaksha, what are the definitions, what are the categories and different things. But you see, this is very important. Don't mistake that anything you hear is Shabda. No. Shabda must be intelligible sound, conveying the meaning. And there is material Shabda and spiritual Shabda also. No? So that we'll discuss. Now, Prabhupada said that there are 3, Pratyaksha, Anuman, Shabda. Why we have 10 here? Correct? And you may say, oh, I never heard this. But you will see in his books, Prabhupada, and his lectures, he used all of this. Why? Because they are classified under the Pratyaksha, Anuman or Shabda. Each of them, Arsha, authority of sages. What would be Arsha, authority of sages? Will come under Pratyaksha, Anuman or Shabda? Shabda, all right, that's right. Shabda. Then, Upamana, analogy is? Anuman means, logic. Okay, Anuman. Arthapati, conjecture from an otherwise unexplainable situation. Anuman, right. Abhava, by non-existence of the object. Yes. You see, it is classified as Pratyaksha. Why? Because first you've seen bullock carts and bulls together. Then only you could understand that bulls are missing. So it fundamentally is based on Pratyaksha, though it's Anuman. So both are together. Sometimes Srila Jiva Goswami puts it under one category and maybe other acharyas put it under other category. But mostly they are together. But the fundamental principle to know, you can't know it unless you've seen before. So Pratyaksha is foundation of it, Sambhava, inclusion. Yeah, it's a pure logic, Anuman, yeah. Aitihya, tradition. Shabda. Cheshta, gesture. Pratyaksha. But you have to understand your own meaning from it. Correct? Anuman. You are reasoning. You are using your logic behind it. You are reasoning. What is the message? What is the meaning? Correct? You may see, I saw his face, but by seeing you are not understanding. By in conjuncture you are understanding. Oh, that is the message. By reasoning. You understand? Yeah. Yeah? You understand? You don't. So I'm showing, no understand. What does it mean? Oh, they don't understand. Okay. So this is the thing. And we understand that this Arsha and Aitihya could be affected by 4 defects. Unless person is very high level. So 4 human defects are the problems with 9 of those, except Shabda. Shabda or Vedic sound is not affected. We will see later. Veda, Narayana, Sakshat. Veda is a direct manifestation of Lord Narayan, not affected by 4 mistakes of human. 4 defects of humans are what? Brahma. Brahma is confusing one thing for another. Morning I came for Srila Prabhupada's appearance, there were these banana trees, and the leaf is standing such a way, I saw somebody is chanting there. So I walk and tell, Hare Krishna Prabhu, then I saw his banana tree. Yeah, you're laughing, but Brahma. Mistaking one thing for another. Srila Prabhupada said the biggest mistake is considering body to be the self. That's really mess in life. Thinking I'm this body, all your life is ruined. Everything is disturbed, everything is messed up. All your activities, thoughts, deeds, everything is ruined by misunderstanding fundamental truth, that I'm spirit soul, I'm not this body. If you think I'm this body, you ruin your life. You ruin this opportunity, jivasya tattva jigyasa, that you understand God in this lifetime. No? Okay, the second one is what? Pramada, inattentiveness. What is that? That yesterday we were taking prasadam and 2 boys were there, our Hari Amudan and Hari Adavan, and between them Stavapriya was sitting. So I'm talking to Hari Amudan, I'm talking to Hari Adavan, and after 5 minutes I ask him, where is Stavapriya? He's sitting between them, you know. So this is called inattentiveness. You are absorbed in something and somebody is singing next to you and you don't even notice. Oh, suddenly, you know. So, pramada means madness also. So, this is also a problem, we commit mistakes. What is it? To err is human, Prabhupada says, pramada. Vipralipsa, the desire to deceive others, the cheating propensity. Prabhupada exposed the scientists. They do not know and they speak as if they know. In the school books, 5th or 6th standard we are seeing, what is life? Chemicals combine themselves into chemicals which can reproduce themselves. They're lying. There's no proof of it. That from matter life has started. There's no proof of it. But they, as if it is true. They just print in the books and everybody has to learn it. But it's not true. There's no evidence. Tendency to deceive others. Another one, subtle one, is mentioned by acharyas that teacher teaches the students, but he doesn't reveal full knowledge to them, according to the need, according to their capacity. But he said, you see, he doesn't tell you exactly everything he knows. Prabhupada really banged on modern science for this one. And of course we have to accept that our senses are imperfect. Karana patao, weakness of the senses. Prabhupada said, even the closest object to your eyes, eyelid or this eye mascara, you can't see. You close your eyes, you can't see anything. A cloud comes, we can't see even the sun. You know? So, imperfect senses. So being affected by 4 human defects, how, even if I have all these 9 pramanas, sense perception and logic and hearing from tradition and cheshtas and analogy, still all of this is fallible. All of these are unreliable, because could be affected by these 4 mistakes. So, Srila Jiva Goswami explains in Sri Tattva Sandarbha, and explains in many places actually this essential point, that the Shabda Pramana, the transcendental sound vibration from Vedas, is the only valid, reliable source of knowledge about God. Particularly that knowledge which is beyond our sense perception, which is beyond our reach of intelligence and experience, that knowledge we have to depend on sound on Vedas. There is no way, we have to depend on it. Then all other pramanas, whether it's pratyaksha or anuman or cheshta or upamana, whatever, they have to be in accordance of the Vedic conclusion. Then they are accepted. And we'll see few of them. We'll not go through all of them. It's a big discussion. In great details they go. This is amazing how much Vedic rishis discuss. How do you know what you know? It's a science. It's amazing. They were thinking, how to understand anything? Scientists said that dogs, they see everything in gray color. The honeybees, they see everything in violet color. And we see in different colors. So who is seeing reality? Is it gray or is it colorful or is it violet? You see, so who has the true knowledge? Reality is established. Spiritual reality is reality. You see, this is now. And then according to that, everything else is validated. According to Krishna, everything is validated. So this is important. So here Srila Prabhupada said, based on this, Pratyaksha, Manuman and Shabda, there are 5 types of knowledge. There are different stages of understanding. Prabhupada speaks now about knowledge. He's not speaking about pramanas. He's speaking about the jnana now. First understanding is direct perception, pratyaksha. This is pratyaksha jnana. From pratyaksha pramana, from sense perception, is born pratyaksha jnana. Prabhupada said, in Sanskrit word it is called pratyaksha, direct understanding. That 10th class understanding, that is not actual understanding, direct perception. But people are giving stress. I want to see, I want to touch. This is called pratyaksha. Then next is paroksha. Para-aksha, other's eyes. It's pratyaksha of somebody else. We said at the beginning, how do you learn? By reading book. Now, who wrote the book? Person who was looking around with his senses and hearing and smelling and tasting, he wrote a book. Para-aksha, other's eyes. So I'm reading book which is anyway based on pratyaksha. Correct? Of course, in spiritual line, paroksha means hearing from Guru Parampara, from others, hearing from authority. But in material point of view, scientists, this is how they learn. They study Einstein, they study Newton's theory, then they become scientists based on that. No? Then they develop their own something based on that. So this is called paroksha, paroksha jnana. No? So here, I want to touch pratyaksha, then next paroksha, hearing from authorities. Then aparoksha, then contemplating on that, realizing something, aparoksha. Then giving conclusions, understanding, with realization. So you can see modern science is based on mostly on pratyaksha and paroksha. Aparoksha in spiritual sense can lead you to self-realization, can lead to the knowledge that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. But that's all what person can do on his own endeavor. And this is very rare. Who has realized on his own, I am not this body? Very few. No? Very few. And they realize I'm not this body, but they don't realize who I am. They think I'm Brahman, I'm God. That's again problem, no? Here in Tamil Nadu, many times people quote that Ramana Maharishi, that he realized I'm not this body. Maybe he realized I'm not this body. But did he realize that I'm eternal servant of Krishna? Unlikely, because the way he spoke is most probably impersonalist. Most probably he thought himself to be Brahman. Like that. So, aparoksha. Then, adokshaja. Adokshaja, beyond power of eyes to see. Adokshaja, that is Bhagavantam Adokshajam, Krishna's name, described in Shastra. Bhagavantam Adokshajam. Krishna cannot be reached by our senses. So this means beyond the perception of the senses. Then, aprakrita. Prakrita means material, prakriti. Prakrita, aprakrita. Aprakrita means non-material, spiritual, transcendental. So Krishna is aprakrita. Krishna cannot be understood by direct sense perception. Gradually you have to rise to the aprakrita stage, which is called Vasudeva stage. No? Beyond this material understanding. No? So, okay, one more is this. Prabhupada says, so knowledge acquired in bodily platform, direct perception, is not real knowledge. Because sense perception doesn't lead you anywhere just by sense perception. You can't understand everything just by sense perception. It's not possible. You have to depend at least on logic after that, at least on Anuman. You can't know everything just by sense perception. Because so many things are beyond the senses that you have to conclude something, you have to infer something, you have to speculate a little bit. You know? Therefore, we can challenge these scientists, so-called scientists. Their basic principle of knowledge is on the bodily concept of life, pratyaksha, experimental knowledge. Prabhupada challenged. Perhaps he's the only one who so boldly challenged everyone. Simply called rascals, you prove. If your science is so advanced, why don't you make life in your laboratories? Prove that life comes from chemicals. So bold. How he could be so bold? Why he could be so bold? Because scientists, they are really experts in pratyaksha. They analyze everything. They have microscope, telescope, this one, that one. They have so many instruments analyzing the life, analyzing the species, seeing how the flowers are growing. No? But what is their conclusion? Prabhupada says, so what is the result of your research? There is no God. This is wrong. Because your pratyaksha does not support Vedic conclusion that God is there. Therefore Prabhupada couldn't challenge. Your pratyaksha is wrong. You got the wrong conclusion. Or you may say that your pratyaksha did not lead you to the proper conclusion, that you didn't see the God, but what you can see. God is not to be seen. Atasa Krishna namadi nabhavet grahamendra. You can't see God with these material senses. Yeah? So what do you conclude? Oh, I look from microscope, I don't see God, so God is not there. And this is wrong. Therefore Prabhupada could challenge. Because their study, although went in great details, did not give them proper conclusion that God is there. For example, they know how the flower grows, how the leaves are expanded, how the cells are expanding, how the, from photosynthesis, oxygen is created and cells get energy and chromosomes are there and ribosomes are there and nucleus is there and flower is growing. But the question is, why flower exists? They know all detail how it works, but why it works? What to do with it? They take it and smell it themselves. And this is binding force. They have to go through repeated birth and death. We know why flower exists. To offer to Krishna. Everything is Krishna's. They do not know that. They know how Krishna grows the flower, but he doesn't know how to utilize the flower. We had mechanic, Prabhakar, who is expert at repairing engines. He didn't know how to drive the car. He doesn't know how to drive a car. We just asked him, park the car inside. When there was some crowd, there was some mess, so I left car outside. No, park inside. Say, here is the key, you park inside. I don't know how to drive. Best mechanic in the Salem. So who is better? Some space out fellow who doesn't know anything about engine, but he can use properly car. Or this fellow who knows all the details but doesn't know how to use it. His car doesn't serve purpose for him. So we do not know exactly how this ribosome, chromosome, how the cockroach has 8 legs and how they study in Indian school books, I've seen the book, digestive system of cockroaches. Crazy info. What do you need to know that? Even we have so much problem with our own digestive system. Why you need them to know what's problem with cockroaches' digestive system? Meaningless thing. We know why cockroaches exist. Correct? We know that there's some sinful species, something you messed up, you get this horrible body of cockroach and horrible menu with it, So they do not know the purpose behind it. That what is the validity of that knowledge? And you don't want to remember cockroach in time of that, my God. No? Yam yam vapis marambam tyajam tyantai kalevar. You don't want to remember. So you see what is the meaning of that knowledge? But it's amazing, actually, if you see how many details. I mean, who went peeping into the digestive system of cockroach? Crazy fellows. Meaningless. But you see, that Prabhupada could challenge. So hear this. Experimental knowledge means the gross sense perception. That is experimental, pratyaksha. Everyone says, we do not see God. God is not such a subject matter that you can see with this pratyaksha, direct perception. God's another name is anubhav. Anubhav. Just like in this room, we do not see the sun directly. We know that there is sun. It is daytime. How do you know it? You do not see. But there are other processes by which you can experience. So you see, Prabhupada immediately used logic, Hanuman, to defeat, and he used analogy, upamana, correct? Just like a sun. Can you see the sun now? Where is the sun? You see the sun? No. Then there is no sun, it's night time. What are you doing here? Go to sleep. But we see the sunlight. We see the sunlight, and that is itself indication the sun is there. So how do we know the soul is in the body? We see presence of consciousness. We don't see the soul. We don't, soul. Just like doctor. Doctor see, malaria, I see him. 8 legs he has. No, he doesn't see. He sees the symptoms. You see, you have this fever, you have vomiting, you have this, you have malaria. Then just to confirm, they take the blood test also. No? We see the symptoms and we know. There was what was a joke? You show me that there was a joke on the internet video that atheist is telling to children, there is no God. Because you can't touch him, you can't see him, you know. And then the small girl replies, Sir, how do you know that there is no God? No, I use my sense. Oh, can you touch it? Can you see it? Your sense? No. That which you cannot touch, you cannot see, does not exist. No sense what you speak. Nonsense. So small girl defeated big pandit, you know. But this is the fault of modern science. It's a fault. If they are honest, whatever evidence leads them to, they should go for it. They should see. Who is the descendant of monkeys? Charles Darwin. He said that, from simple species, big species develop, and cell is very simple organism. But now with this electronic microscope, they see the cell is like a galaxy. They see it is so complex, that, and what that tells you, that no way it coming by chance, by some, there is intelligent design behind it. There is an intelligence of because there is a purpose, there is a system, there is an order in the world. So here you can see this, the modern scientists, they get stuck in pratyaksha gyan, paroksha. They hear from their own authorities, which are anyway based on pratyaksha. And then go on speculating, aparoksha, and trying to conclude something. But adokshaja, Prabhupada say, this is knowledge of the spiritual planets, of the form of the Lord. And aprakrita, this is knowledge of Goloka and transcendental pastimes of the Lord. You see, we have 5 levels of knowledge. Scientists, they get stuck on first 2, pratyaksha, paroksha. Adokshaja, some self-realized soul, some yogi, somebody can come to that aparoksha. And then adokshaja, when Lord reveals himself, then you come to that platform. You can't reach it, adokshaja, beyond power of sense perception, beyond power of eyes to see, beyond power of nose to smell, beyond power of ears to hear, beyond power of intelligence to grasp, beyond power of mind to understand. This is the Lord, adokshaja. And Lord reveals himself by the suitable process. Okay, so here pramana, importance of these pramanas is given in Manu Samhita, for example. Pratyaksham chanumanam cha shastram cha vividhagamam tarayam suvidam karyam dharma shuddhim abhipsata. A person serious about executing responsibilities of human life should try to understand the 3 processes of direct perception, inference, and hearing the various Vedic scriptures, agama, shastra, no? So sometimes, anyway, I'll just quote another shloka, is there? Now here, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna speaks to Uddhava, Pratyakshena numanena nigamena atma samvida adyantavad asatyatva niksango vicharediha. Lord Krishna says, by direct perception, pratyaksha, logical deduction, anuman, scriptural testimony, no, the Shastras, and personal realization, one should know that this world has beginning and end, and it is not the ultimate reality. Thus one should live in this world without attachment. You see that? It's very nice. What is the meaning of knowledge? To understand ultimate reality. To understand this world is temporary, to understand we are not enjoyers, to understand I have to surrender to Krishna. This is knowledge. Remember that in Bhagavad Gita there is a list of different items of knowledge. What is it? Manitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshanti, Rajam, Acharya Upasanam, Shauchar, Atmastaryam, Vinigraha, Indriyartishwaryagam, Anahankara Evacha. There are 30 items of knowledge. But ultimate one is to become devotee of the Lord, to depend on the Lord, to surrender to the Lord. That ultimately knowledge leads to the devotion. Materialists that many times said, no, knowledge leads to humility. That is true. One who is really learned, he is a humble. But what means humble? Humble means humble servant of the Lord. That means humbleness. Servant of the Lord. So, these are different scriptures showing this, different pramanas. Now, we discuss a little bit, now is 9 o'clock, okay. Pratyaksha pramana. Prati means near or true. Aksha means eyes or any senses. Pratyaksha. That doesn't mean only what you see, but through all the senses. Gautama Muni gives a whole list of divisions, of Pratyaksha Pramana. He gives each sense different, 6 categories because there are 6 senses, including the mind, like that. So now what is the definition of Pratyaksha Pramana? When one of our senses contacts its object, and our mind chooses to receive sensation attention, knowledge has been created. You see, there is condition that you can see outside. But unless mind is attentive, you're seeing, but you won't register it. Correct? So unless mind chooses to give that sensation attention, you won't learn anything. You won't see the object. You won't gain knowledge. No? You just, I didn't see you. You didn't pay attention. So there is condition applied. So it's very limited. Divisions are there. External by the senses and internal by mind. Mind also has experience of emotions, pain, pleasure, love, hate. That also we learn, All these feelings in us, that also we learn from them. We have experience of it, Now, Prabhupada says like this, Pratyaksha means direct perception. Just like I'm seeing you, you are seeing me. I'm present, you are present. This is direct perception. It's a simple, it's not difficult to understand. Direct perception. But we understand that there are limits of direct perception. As long as the senses and mind are functioning properly, then you may rely on Pratyaksha Pramana. Correct? It's so gross, actually. If man is crazy, what he's going to learn by his sense perception? Nothing. If mind is not present. No? And if senses are not working, you are blind. One sense is cut off. You have to depend on other senses. Now I can see this is saffron color, this is white color. No? Why is this white color? That we will discuss later. But the idea is that I can see, but blind man can't see. Simply he has to depend on others. What color he is wearing? You see? It's simply, it's conditioned. Pratyaksha Pramana is conditioned. Is limited to material things. You can't see even subtle matter with gross senses. You can't see subtle body. Some people claim to see ghosts. Maybe. No? But we can't. I cannot. No? Subtle things you can't see. And then, how to see spiritual things then? No? Even if they went to the moon, as they claim, which we don't believe them, will they see any residents of moon which have subtle bodies? They won't see them. They won't see them. What will see? They say empty, everything is empty. Nobody lives on the moon. But Shastra says the moon is, opulent place. It's first one of the heavenly planets. It's full of people. But they have subtle bodies. They don't have gross bodies. How are you going to see them? No. Limited to present time. You can't see something which happened in the past. Correct? You can't see things in the future. So it's limited to presence. And it's limited to area where are you. Correct? Now we have satellites, TVs and phones, internet, so we can see things somewhere else. We go to Google Maps and we zoom in. But the point is, that is limited to present time. You can't see, correct? Can support Shabda only till some extent. So, Pratyaksha is always valid if supports the Vedic statements, if supports the Vedic conclusion. Then we accept. Otherwise, we don't accept. Because they are illusions. You may misunderstand things. You mistaken things. How many optical illusions are there? You may misunderstand what's going on. No? It's difficult. View by using only Pratyaksha Pramana is very limited. You have to use at least logic. No? This is very famous in the Charvaka Muni. Charvaka is a famous Vedic atheist. We call it Vedic atheist because from time immemorial he was used as an example of an atheist and defeated by acharyas. So what Charvaka says, very similar to our modern sciences. Conclusion is that trust what you see, what you believe, what you see yourself, what you experience yourself, that you trust. Because others may cheat you, they may be bewildered, they may be fools, they may understand properly. So you can't trust the fools. Trust yourself only. But Jiva Goswami exposed him. But even in his own definition of Pratyaksha, he uses Anuman, he uses logic. Why you are not believing others? Because they could be the fools. This is logic. You have to use tool of logic. You can't just rely all life only on Pratyaksha. Correct? You can't. Simply, it's not practical. You can't live life. You can't do anything. We are never using only Pratyaksha. And then they are joking with Charvaka Muni. Why he is sighing, sobbing bitterly in front of his house? Why? Because his wife is pregnant and he has doubt whether child is his or Paramour's. What is the point? By Pratyaksha he cannot know. Simply he has to depend on other authority. So acharyas mocked on him, blasted Charvaka into pieces. You can't say only Pratyaksha. It's not possible. We depend, all the time we depend on Anuman, at least on Anuman. I tell you, we all the time depend on authorities also. You can't. If one has a doubt, he can't do anything. He's functionless. Every step you believe that earth will hold you. Otherwise you won't move. No? It's just simply like that, I mean, anything in life, we depend on authority. And the Pratyaksha doesn't give any knowledge, valid knowledge of Abhideya. What is the process of realizing God? Again, you see, by Pratyaksha you can't understand how to serve God. You can't get it. You simply can't get it. You must hear. You come and meet devotee, they tell you how to serve God. You come meet a guru, he tells you how to serve God. You read Shastra, they tell you how to serve God. But simply by Pratyaksha, you will never get it, Abhideya. What is the process of realizing God? It's not possible. This is very essential. This is limits. Okay. So Prabhupada said, if Pratyaksha, direct perception, would have been perfect, then there was no need of sending these boys to school to hear from the teacher. But this is very scientific, Shabda Pramana. You see, it's very clear what Prabhupada says. Very nice point. Pratyaksha is valid, but it's not ultimate means of gaining knowledge. It's not possible. And you see, there's so much science depends on Pratyaksha and their own speculative Anuman, that this is amazing. It's amazing how many people in this world says this, seeing is believing. How many people stick to that and they prove, I want to measure, I want to see. Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur gives definition of Maya. That which you want to measure. That is Maya. That idea that you can measure, that itself is Maya. You can't measure unlimited Lord. Just see this. And they want to see, touch, experience everything. No? And Prabhupada says, yes, we'll give you a scientific experience, but you follow our process, scientific process. You purify your senses, you chant the holy name, then you will see the Lord. You will realize. No? So what is validity then of this Pratyaksha if Krishna cannot be seen by the material senses? No one can understand transcendental nature of the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. So what is validity of pratyaksha? It is only means of empiric knowledge of material plane. You see, there is no other way to experience, to live in material world unless through the senses. Look at your body, look at our bodies. It's only senses, nothing else exists. Look at the body, just senses and portions of the material assembling the senses. There's the nose, the eyes, there's mouth, there's ears, there's skin, hands, legs, genitals, anus. What is it? 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses. It's only about senses. You are in material world, you have material senses to relate to the material objects. When senses perceive the sense objects, you know, the nose, smell, the ear, sound, skin, touch, tongue, taste, correct? Then we experience, we live, we learn. Otherwise you can't function. You are dysfunctional on material realm unless you have the senses. No. So all other pramanas start from pratyaksha and extend it. They depend on its validity. So even hearing from authority, even reading the book, correct? Pratyaksha is used for that. Huh? So that's also important because this is the only way of working in material realm. One who insists on always distrusting the evidence of his senses will have no basis for participating in philosophy or any other meaningful aspect of life. Now you can't say, oh, pratyaksha is limited, so I don't accept it. Then, you can't function, you can't do anything. It's a very difficult situation. You can't hear, you can't read, you don't. Whatever you say, I don't trust. Whatever you say, I don't trust. I don't rely on that. Then what you will do here? Simply die. Can't work. Huh? So this is valid till support shabda. If what we see, what we perceive, what we sense, what we smell is according to very conclusion, that we accept that pratyaksha. Yeah. Anybody can think of some example? Pratyaksha pramana which supports the shabda.
Deity form.
Okay, you see the deities, Lord manifested like this. Okay, saying like this. We were discussing with Madhva Pandits in Udupi. So, one personality particularly, one Pandit, one Grihastha, he was, why do you say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God? But you see, the Bhagavatam says, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangasta Parshana Yagyai Sankirtana Prayai Yajanti Sumedasha Sankirtana Yagya. He spread this Nama Kirtan, Sankirtan, Priti Vityache, Jatanagar Adigram, Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe Moranam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread it all over the world. You know? Who spread it? We have Pratyaksha Pramana. What is it? See, all over the world. Who spread it? Followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not Madhvas. No? So we have, this is one way of saying pratyaksha. We have a proof. We have look how many devotees are there, for example. No? So, okay, the very interesting point with pratyaksha here, that there is another aspect of pratyaksha pramana. Raja vidya, raja guhyam, pavitram, idam uttamam, pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam, susukam kartumavyayam. Now pratyaksha is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. What it says? Prabhupada translates, this knowledge, king of education, most secret of all secrets, is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and joyfully performed. Now Prabhupada say, direct perception of the self. But just now we heard you can't see the self, you can't see the God, you can't see the soul, you can't see even subtle body with the senses. But here pratyaksha is used. How is that? Let's see what Prabhupada says. Krishna consciousness knowledge is so perfect that pratyaksha vagamam, you can directly perceive how far you are making progress. Look at this perception. You can perceive how you make progress. You don't require to take certificate from others whether you're progressing or not. You'll understand yourself. This example is given, just like hungry man is eating. So as he's going on eating, he's getting strength and his hunger is being satisfied. So he can understand himself. Nobody requires to certify. So this is interesting. You can perceive something. Spiritual growth. You can perceive how you are advancing spiritually. Okay, look at this one. If one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically and he can understand. This is called pratyaksha, directly perceived. Now obviously we are speaking about some other pratyaksha here. You see that? Correct? Because now revealed point is used here, correct? Okay, let's go next purport. One may also directly perceive the Lord through chanting and hearing His holy names and glories. Shravanam Kirtan Vishnu means that one should always chant and hear of the glories of the Lord. One who perfectly hears and chants will undoubtedly see the Lord face to face. Lord Krishna is all-pervading and one should search for Him everywhere. By the transcendental senses, purified by Bhakti Yoga, one may directly perceive Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now we are speaking about transcendental protection. We are not speaking about this mundane protection by these senses. We are speaking when our spiritual senses are awakened, then we see the Lord. So this is, Prabhupada gives example, that all of us, we have a spiritual body. We are spirit soul. Every soul has a form, Sachitananda Rupa. But just like a children, small children, they have no sexual desire, so they do not use genitals, although they have it. We also, we have spiritual body, but we have no spiritual consciousness. We don't use it. We are not using spiritual eyes. We are not using spiritual ears. We are not using spiritual senses because we have no desire. We have material consciousness. We have the body, but we are not using it. So Prabhupada, this spiritual body will be awakened by spiritual practice. So once time we get purified, transcendental senses, purified by Bhakti Yoga, one may perceive the Lord. So this is called in the Gaudiya Vaishnava literature. Here another example is given, seeing face to face, Shyama Sundara. This is described here in Bhagavad Gita. In the joyous state, one is seeking boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Sukham atyantikam ya tad, buddhigrahyam atindriyam. These are transcendental senses mentioned in Bhagavad Gita here. And this is the purport that Prabhupada quotes Patanjali for that. The transcendental form of eternal bliss and knowledge can be experienced by our original spiritual senses, which can be revived by chanting of the holy mantras, transcendental sound representation. So you see that Shabda Pramana is cause of this experience. It's cause of reviving spiritual senses. You see, by holy mantras. Such sound should be received from transparent agency of one of a spiritual master, and the chanting may be practiced by direction of spiritual master. Okay, so this is called in Gaudiya Vaishnava, in Vedas, Vaidusha or Divya Pratyaksha, transcendental Pratyaksha. When senses are purified and one can perceive spiritual reality directly. This is topmost pramana, the best evidence. Why? Once you see Krishna, what other proof you want? And who is going to convince you there is no God after that? Correct? You're seeing Krishna in front of you. Well, what other proof do you want? There's no higher than this. You know. So you can see that the faultless. Why faultless? Because when spiritual senses are revived, this is a high level. This is a stage when one achieved perfection of life and he is free from four mistakes. Mahabhagavatas, they are free from four mistakes. Uttamadikar, he is free from four mistakes. This is the moment where he cannot commit mistake anymore. And he sees the God, he talks to God, and he gives message to us. Now you may say, so many people talk to God. And they are indeed, so many people claiming to talk to God, you know. We met a person and offered him book, Bhagavad Gita, book distribution. And he say, you know, I talk to Krishna. Oh, great. Here, some more conversation. Krishna and Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita, please read. And he said, no, Krishna told me not to take Bhagavad Gita. I said, bogus. And my Krishna told me to give you Bhagavad Gita. I also speak to Krishna. So how do you know? So many people say, I've seen God, I've seen God. How do you know that they have experienced Vaidusha Divya protection? How do you know? So many Christians, I seen God. Prophets and so many. Today, I mean in India, there are so many people, this is amazing, We are sitting in Vizag railway station waiting for train to link train, And fellow comes, sits next to him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You are from where? I say, I'm from Europe. You are from? I'm from Visakhapatnam. What do you do? I say, I'm serving Krishna. What do you do? I work in LIC agency. Oh, very good. And I talk to Krishna. I say, oh, those who talk to Krishna, they don't work in LIC agency. Just stop here. Don't preach. Just stop it here, It's meaningless. Your statement is meaningless because talking to Krishna is spiritual experience. You're fully engrossed like gulab jamun in that sweet syrup, in material life, and you are thinking you are saying Krishna, you're talking to Krishna. You're talking to your crazy mind or some ghost, Just stop talking to him. Oh, thank you. And he laughs. Bogus, it doesn't work like this. Why? Because his activities, his character, his consciousness doesn't match this stage of realization. The character of the sadhu, the saintly qualities of the devotees, these are the highest evidence that God is there, that they are speaking the truth. It must match. Not that they're talking to God and after smoking. Forget it, Baba. It doesn't work like this. It's rejected. Not anybody says, I talking to, oh, maybe, but what about if he's talking? If he's talking, then he won't have interest for anything material. You remember Ramakrishna bluffed some spiritual ecstasies, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, okay, let me see how much he's really in trance. Put some rasgullas, or announce the rasgullas. Immediately he woke up. Oh, time for rasgullas. Exposed. Cheaters are exposed, This is very important to understand, that we don't accept anybody's statement just like that. Unless his character is matching, we will not accept his statement, his visions of God. So many people, you can't believe how many people claim that they've seen the God, talk to God. It's very, very Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means mess with that, And some claim to be God themselves, what to speak of that. So bogus. So this is, for Gaudiya Vaishnava, this is Vaidusha Divya Prataksha. But this is possible, this realization is possible only through Shabda. Therefore you may say, Shabda Pramana is only valid Pramana, is backbone of all other Pramanas. All other Pramanas depend on that, and this is accepted by Gaudiya Vaishnava. Axiomatically, we accept Vedas. Whatever Veda says is true. We accept, we don't argue. Nobody argue. In the past, nobody would argue with Shrutis, with Vedas. Nobody would argue. Of course, Gaudiya Vaishnava concept of Veda means Puranas, Itihasas, and that all Shri Tattva Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami, he establishes this. That actually the best Pramana, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam, is best is Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana, and the best of all scriptures for getting knowledge of personality of Godhead, which is ultimate knowledge. So you will see different schools, they accept different Pramanas. Like Charvaka, he accepts only Pratyaksha. And then Nyaya Shastra. Gautama Muni, he accepts, I think, four of Pramanas. He accepts Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upamana, and one more. Buddhists, they don't accept Shruti. There is definition of Pramana. I'll just read exactly definition, not to speculate. From Nyaya Shastra, and given definition, just let me see here. Here, Nyaya Darshana says, Pramana means Pramakarana, an instrumental cause of Vedic knowledge. Okay, this is clear. Pramana means Pramakarana, that which will, the instrumental, what is instrumental to gain perfect knowledge. And Prama, what is the conclusive truth? Yata Artha Anubhava, perception that agrees with reality. That is Brahma. Pramana, that which proves Brahma. So Brahma means what is conclusive knowledge, what is the truth, what is the reality. So what is that? Perception that agrees with reality. Means the truth. Okay. Now Buddhists say, we don't accept reality. That what you see, this is unreal. Then their definition of Pramana and Pramana completely different. But again, they have their own scriptures which they accept as Agamas, as a Shruti. So, you see, every school has different concepts of Pramana. Advaitavadis, for example, they accept Pratyaksha, Anuman, Shabda, Upamana, but many of them they don't accept Puranas as a Shruti. They don't accept, they don't say, no, that is not Shabda. That is written later by the Rishis. This is not Veda or Narayana Sakshat. So, in all these different schools, Karma Mimamsa did hundreds of pages discussion of this Pramana Tattva. And somebody wrote me a letter now recently, one devotee who was here for a few years. What is his name? That Russian Sudarshan, who had tattooed Mahamantra on his, remember? Somewhere here he had. Ishwara Smaran Prabhu. Yeah. He just wrote me letter that please kindly give me some guidance where to find more knowledge about Pratyaksha, Anuman and Shabda, about Pramanas. He said, I find only Shitattva Sandarbha. Why? Only Shitattva Sandarbha. But that is the book give us proper conclusion. Okay, you may study Nyaya Pramanas and Karma Mimamsa Pramanas, but this is not exactly what we accept. So you may be misguided even about that, Already Acharya study, already they concluded. We just given brief little hint, and you can see Prabhupada is just speaking freely in simple English, all the points, What is sense perception, what is Anuman, you will see later, he's discussing all these things, but already clarified by our Acharyas, what we accept under which condition, we are safe, But it's a fact that thousands of years and thousands of rishis discuss this in detail. Proper methodology of learning about God, authorized, reliable method, and this is very important for us. That then you will see what is validity of Prabhupada's books, what is validity of Guru Parampara. They simply stick to the Vedic conclusion. They don't speculate. Whatever they say, whatever their realization is always in accordance with Vedic scripture. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, Vakya, Chitte, Korya, Aikya. That is explained by Acharyas. Okay, so I'll stop here. There are many details. This is how much you can, discuss. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, any comments? We will be tomorrow doing same thing in the morning like this for Anuman, Pramana, and then third day we'll do the Shabda Pramana, and fourth day we will be dealing with introduction to Ishopanishad. We'll see how Prabhupada presents this epistemology in one lecture which was used after for introduction of Ishopanishad. Any questions, any comments? Yes?
You mentioned in the beginning of the lecture that you can quote something,
yeah,
and if it is supporting the Vedic conclusion,
right,
then it can be taken as Pramana.
Right.
But then again, that is based on the person who is, how does he select? How does he judge that this is based on Vedic conclusion? His conclusion of Vedas can be something different also. But his understanding of the Vedic conclusion is also different.
But you can see how Prabhupada did. How Prabhupada used that. That if anybody, scientist or any man, he tells something which makes sense, which is according to Vedas, he say, this is true. In that direct, what is that? Dialectic intellectualism. What is that book? Prabhupada discussed with Shyamasundar different philosophers, Beyond illusion and doubt, they call it, yeah. And, Prabhupada, he did not study all of this, different philosophers. He was simply asked Shyamasundar, so, what does he say? What is his philosophy? And then Prabhupada would, this is correct, this is wrong. This is what Veda says. You see, he's just seeing, because it's not that any truth spoken by anybody is Veda. He got it right. And if it's not according to Veda, it's untruth, whatever learned he is. So, you understand, it's not that necessary person studies Veda to speak the truth. He may get it right by Pratyaksha and Anuman, or by some realization of those. And if it's according to that, is correct. They told Prabhupada about Francis of Assisi, one Christian saint. And they told him about Socrates, that when they wanted to kill him, they say, drink the poison. And he went on laughingly, ha 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 ha, yes, you caught me. Now what did he say? First you catch me if you can kill me. And he drank the poison. And probably he was self-realized soul. He knew we are not this body. Why? Because it's according to Vedas. Who will laugh drinking poison? He said, try to catch me. Soul left. He knew soul is different from the body. Otherwise you can't be so bold in time of death. Everyone is scared, So like that. When he heard of Francis of Assisi, Prabhupada say, perhaps he was pure devotee. He said that. And like that. There was that lecture Prabhupada given in Australia in the seminary of Francis of Assisi, and then when they told him about him, he said, oh, that shows he was a pure devotee. In his life, he was renounced and praying to, whatever characteristics they describe. So like that, on that basis, It's tricky to quote scientists, because tomorrow they change, The next day they change what they say. So, when Prabhupada was the only one speaking, we never went to the moon. And then, now so many people speak, You understand? Now is it flat earth? Of course, Veda says earth is flat. Bhumandala is flat, that's for sure. But there are different also description of lotus petals and other things. Now, there's big discussion, Finally, scientists accept earth is flat. But not that really they accept, there's a big discussion. But even that, we should stay focused on Vedas, We should not compromise even that. Any other questions?
One comment. Stephen Hawking released his PhD thesis in 1966, he had written. And many people are asking about it, that we want, but the universities from where he passed out, no, they were not giving it out. So now it is released and available free. So in 1 hour, some 70,000 people have downloaded it. It will be interesting to see what is there in the thesis.
1966, Stephen Hawking, he given his PhD thesis, but I heard from one devotee, I didn't read myself, I have to be honest, but I heard from one devotee that he wrote one book, then in second book, in introduction he wrote, all the readers don't mind, but what I wrote in first book is changed because of new evidences we have, but now we know much more than in first book. He just, first book he became popular, and in second book he writes, this book is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
This is modern science.
To see what he wrote in the thesis and what he speaks now.
And what I will tell you is a progress in science. But what he tells us, that simply previous one is wrong, and now you claim this one is right. And after some time you will change this one because you are progressing. And they say, yes, this is science. So even now they are telling you even this is wrong. They're honest in one way. Some qualities they have. Cheating propensity. They are always wrong. Of course they are always wrong. Yes.
Krishna gives faith. Faith is given by Krishna. Faith is something more important in this aspect.
Faith is more important than?
Important in this understanding.
Yeah, faith is very important. The all advancement of a practitioner, devotee, is based on faith and knowledge which he has. The more faith, the Uttama Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Kanishta Adhikari, the classified Kanishta doesn't have faith, or his faith is shaken or easily influenced by others. Madhyama may not be expert convincing everyone in philosophical discussions, but his faith is unshakable. And Uttama, he can convince anybody and his faith is unshakable. But this faith, how do you develop the faith? by association also, by agyata sukriti, by engaging in devotional service, knowingly or unknowingly. Again, from Shabda. Again, you are following process of Shabda. You are in touch with devotees. You hear holy name, you do some devotional service, they engage you somehow or other. So these small agyata sukriti, bhakti sukritis accumulates, and that builds up the faith, adao shraddha. Faith at the beginning means little respect, little inquisitiveness, a desire to serve devotees. And then this shraddha matures in satsanga. And then we progress by more hearing, more associating, bhajana, kriya, anarthana vritti, like that. So faith is very important, but even faith is invoked by Shabda.
Is it from Krishna, the faith of this way, or Krishna?
Everything comes from Krishna, you may say, but
Krishna gives faith?
Krishna gives faith, yes. What is a faith? The conviction that by following this process, I will achieve perfection. Correct? So, how do you get conviction? By association. You are seeing them practicing. You are seeing they are achieving result. You are reading what Prabhupada said. We are seeing. Just all our spiritual life is based on faith in Prabhupada and his disciples who are practicing nicely. We are seeing pratyaksha pramana. We are seeing it's possible to be God conscious. You see Prabhupada's videos, Prabhupada's lectures, Prabhupada's moving, talking, walking around, responding, debating. It's so convincing. And Prabhupada said, everyone can become Krishna conscious. Wow, it's a hope. We could see Prabhupada as an ideal, pure devotee, and we get faith. We get so much faith by reading his book. He's so convinced, he has this firm conviction. No? That by practicing Krishna consciousness, by obeying my Guru, I'll achieve love of God, I'll achieve perfection by chanting the holy name. So this is faith. So in the association of devotees, the faith is nourished, it grows more and more as we advance. So faith is essential. But this is not blind faith. Therefore we have Guru Sadhu Shastra. We have logic. Prabhupada said, we will see the quotes tomorrow. Don't follow anything blindly. Everything should be ascertained by logic. We are not blind followers. No? It's not just faith. Krishna says, just believe in Jesus. And do any nonsense and believe in Jesus. This is not proper. You have to believe in Jesus, means follow what he says. Prabhupada asked one Christian who came to meet him. Lady was wearing cross, and Prabhupada said, when did you become Christian? Means when did you start following? You are opening so many slaughterhouses, you are eating meat, then when did you become Christian? You're not Christian, you're not following. No? So faith is one thing, but knowledge must be there also. That is very important. And knowledge results in vairagya. Correct? Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga. It's if the progress in spiritual life must be accompanied by knowledge, by renunciation, by faith. They go together. Simply I have faith in Jesus, I can do anything and He will save me. I believe He will save me. You believe whatever you want to believe, but you should first believe Jesus' words and follow what He says. 10 commandments He said, you follow. You don't believe Him. Actually, you don't believe what He says. I believe in Him means I believe He exists. I believe He will save me. But how He will save you? By following. How Prabhupada is saving us? By asking us to follow 4 regulative principles. By asking us to chant. This is how He saves us. Who saves us? Krishna saves us. Correct? You may say Prabhupada saves us because he told us Krishna will save you like this. But we have to follow. So, the famous one, Prabhupada said that religion without knowledge is simply sentiment. Correct? And of course, feelings must be there. Faith must be there also, That without faith, then what kind of theoretical devotee you are? You are learned in Shastra, but you have no faith in God. How is this possible? No? Astikyam, one of the characteristics of Brahmanas. And they're pious, they believe in God, they have a faith. So faith is important. But you see, like more we hear about Lord, more faith we get. Correct? More we associate. You see, it works. You see, it works on him. Oh, it will work on me also, my hair will also one day fall off, It works on others. So like that. Okay, any other questions?
Why faith is not coming to everybody?
Why faith is not common to everyone? Because of their different desires. Everybody has different desire. According to intensity of desires for material enjoyment, one has more faith or not. According to contamination, you may say. You know. Those who are pious have more faith. Srila Prabhupada said, when difficulty comes, pious people who have faith, they turn to God to pray. And impious people, they blaspheme the God when difficulty comes. When difficulty comes, oh God, please help me, so much trouble. And others say, oh, what is this? There is no God. How can God be there? So much trouble. So, according to their purity, according to their contamination, according to their Hari Charana Jushas Taram Tamyashatesham, according to their absorption in lotus feet of Hari, there is gradation of living entities. So different faith. But in association, faith grows, develops. It's so easy. Here you are convinced, yes, that's the path. Then you come home and husband start arguing. Then you, maybe some doubts are there. Then you come back to temple. No? You feel like that? Or anybody else comes and disturbs us at the beginning. But more we come, then once faith becomes unshakable, even you cannot convince everyone, but nobody can convince you either. Then you become peaceful. Become peaceful. This is the process. This is the path. This is the way. This is the system. Follow Prabhupada, follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, follow Krishna's teaching, we'll achieve perfection. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.